We did it! Holy shit! The clutch overpower saved us! We did it!
What's going on, you guys? My name is Brobson, and welcome to episode 2 of my RuneScape 3 Loot Deck series. If you don't know what this series is, make sure you just click the link in the description to get to episode 1 so that you can learn all of the goals and rules for this series and challenge. Just as a quick update, a lot of people on Twitch have been asking me for an official list of items that I'm including in the RuneScape 3 loot decks, so I'm working on compiling that list now. Keep in mind there are a lot of Slayer uniques and boss uniques in this game, and I'm also considering adding all the skilling uniques as well, things like the Pharaoh's Scepter and or the Scepter of the Gods and all the skilling outfits and stuff like that. So hopefully I'll have the full list compiled by the next episode or so, but I'll definitely make it publicly available once it is done so that you guys can see all the items that I'm going for and also use it to track your progress if you want to take on this challenge with me. I might also make a video kind of going over why I decided to include or exclude certain items and just go over the list as a whole. But we'll get more of that once the list is actually done, so just be patient. I promise I'll get that out when I can. We got a lot of progress to actually cover in this video though, so let's get straight into it. The first thing I did when I created the account was unlock the lodestone network, just because I think it's very valuable to have the lodestones to travel around with. So I spent about 20 minutes doing that, and then I decided to get my first 20k cash by completing the security stronghold and player safety stronghold in Edgeville. Both of them are very easy, they're not really too much risk of death for either of them, and when you complete them both, you get 10k cash from each. So I got 20k cash, as well as my nice little fancy boots to go along with it. Then I made a pretty unpopular decision. A lot of people on Twitch said it was a waste of time, but I decided to actually go to the Berthorpe Troll Cave and get 35 magic. The reason I did that is because I knew I was going to do questing early on. Questing is definitely one of the best things to do when you first create a RuneScape account. But some of the quests have little bosses and kind of mini fights at the end that can be kind of tough if you have very base stats. So I decided to get 35 magic and then spend some of the cash from the player safety stronghold and security stronghold on a battle staff. At level 35 magic and a battle staff, I just bought some air runes from Varrock, and then it was very, very easy to take on all the quest bosses. So in order of quest completion, I'm just going to rattle them all off quickly. You'll see the clip completion in the background, but all the quests that I completed in order so far are Waterfall, Vampire Slayer, The Grand Tree, Restless Ghost, Cook's Assistant, Tree Gnome Village, Fight Arena, Ernest the Chicken, Merlin's Crystal, The Holy Grail, Demon Slayer, Gunner's Ground, and then finally Dragon Slayer. Most of these quests, as you'll know, are quests that give you good combat XP, just a quick way to get your stats up early. A few of them are just super quick quests for free quest points to get up towards 33. And then finally, Dragon Slayer, I figured would be a really cool goal to go for on day 1 of live streaming the series. So we did manage to get all the way up to 33 quest points and then get all the items we needed for Dragon Slayer. It was a little bit of a struggle, I'm not going to lie. I was not really prepared to do Dragon Slayer. I was unaware that Elvarg had been buffed, but we'll get to that later in the video. You'll get to see my encounter with Elvarg later on. I guess you got a little spoiler of it earlier on in the video at the very beginning, but we'll get to Elvarg in a minute. So while the quest completion clips are playing in the background, I kind of wanted to outline my plan for this account, at least early on. Obviously, the main goal is to make series progression by getting boss-specific drops and Slayer-specific drops, but I'm not really sure how exactly we want to get there. I talked a little bit with my stream about it the other day, and I'll just give you a quick rough sketch of how we think we're going to get there. My main plan is to do Slayer until around 60 base combat stats, because Slayer is a great way to both make profit and progress your combat levels simultaneously. The money I get from Slayer drops should be more than enough to at least sustain my Slayer supplies, and hopefully enough extra to start saving up and buying food and potions in bulk, so that once I get those 60 base combat stats, I'm ready to move on to the next thing quickly. I'm not really sure how much profit you make with low-level Slayer, but even if it's not quite enough to put away to move forward, we'll have plenty of farming methods at that point to make a bunch of profit. Might be a day or two setback to just grind profit, but after that, we should have more than enough money to move forward. On my way there, though, when I hit 50 attack, I plan to get a main hand rune scimitar from Cockroach Soldiers and an offhand rune mace from Greater Demons. Because I can't buy my armor and weapons, and I'm kind of Iron Man style for my own gear progression, I think that's the best way to get rune weapons. I don't know of any shops that sell them, and unless I have 55 Slayer, I believe the only offhand rune weapon I can get is the offhand rune mace from the Greater Demons, so I'll just spend a little bit of time away from Slayer tasks to kill those things until I get lucky enough to get those drops, then head straight back into Slayer again and keep leveling attack until 60, at which point I can upgrade to dragon weapons. And the way I'll do that is simply by doing the Lost City quest. When you get access to Zenaris after Lost City, you can go to the weapon merchant inside of Zenaris and buy dragon daggers, I think for 30k each, but I know he sells both the main and offhand. I don't know quite how much they cost, but that should be a cheap and easy way to get dragon weapons. And then we're going to keep going. We might already be 55 Slayer at that point, but if not, we're going to go right back to Slayer with our new dragon weapons until we get 55 Slayer. At 55, we can kill Turoths. That is an amazing low-level profit farming spot. I know it because I've done it on every Iron Man account I've ever created. They drop tons of alchable items and tons of items that I can sell, probably for even more profit at the GE. And it's a great money-making method. I think it's close to 1 mil profit per hour, even at low levels. So that should be a great way, if we need it, to go ahead and make profit once we hit 55 Slayer. And from the Slayer combat grind, I'm probably going to do Fremnik Trials, head to Waterbirth, and start trying to upgrade my gear as well. I just outlined how I'm going to upgrade my weapons. But in Waterbirth, you can get all 3 combat styles, tier 50 power armor. I believe it's called Rock Shell for melee, Spine for ranged, and Skeletal for magic. And that will be the gear that I use until I can eventually upgrade to God Wars, because God Wars is tier 70 power. I don't know if there's tier 60 power armor, but I certainly don't know how to get it if it does exist. So I'm planning on just using the tier 50 from Waterbirth and then heading right to Bandos and trying to upgrade from, you know, Rock Shell up to that. Other things I plan to do relatively early on, I want to grind Dungeoneering. 85 Dunge will give me access to Frost Dragons for profit and or prayer experience. I'll also be able to get a Chaotic Maul and a Charming Imp if I get all the way to 85 with my Dungeoneering tokens. So that'll be good. In terms of mage weapons, I'll just get 60 magic and then do the Mage Arena minigame out in the wilderness to get the Gothic Staff. And then hopefully I can use that staff and start doing magic-only barrows and start working on getting tank gear. I don't think I'm going to be able to use the tier 50 power sets at God Wars dungeons, so getting at least 1 melee helm, 1 melee body, and 1 melee legs from barrows would be a great way to kind of buff up my defensive stats and not take as much damage when I go bossing. I think Barrow's helm, body, and legs, as well as a Chaotic Maul, should be enough to go ahead and start doing Bandos, but I guess we'll just YOLO it when we get there. We'll see and reevaluate whether or not we need to keep grinding and getting better gear, or if we'll be good enough to take it on. It also will depend heavily on our combat stats at that point, so the gear may be good enough, but we might need to go back and farm some more XP to get our stats up to like base 80 or something. I don't really know where you start taking on Bandos, but Bandos is the first boss that I think I'm going to work towards, and the first major progress updates that I'm going to work towards. Obviously, there's a lot of low-level Slayer creatures that do drop Slayer uniques, so hopefully we'll be able to get at least a few random Slayer uniques like bronze, steel boots, stuff like that, or maybe the Mystic Gloves, I think, that you can get from Desert Lizards on the way up in our Slayer grind. But the first major progress and like cool updates and items that we'll be getting will most likely come from Bandos a week or two down the line. Moving away from the goals though, and back into the progress we've already made, as we finished the Gunner's Ground quest here, we decided to take on Elvarg and try Dragon Slayer. We had just over 33 quest points, so we figured why not, we'll go for it. I figured Elvarg was still a pleb. As I said, I didn't know he had been buffed, and even after people in chat told me he was buffed, I was like, it's Elvarg, how tough could it actually be? It turns out it's pretty fucking difficult now. I really kind of did get my shit tossed. Luckily, we did kill it on the first try. I don't know how we clutched this kill. But as you can see, when we took on Elvarg, I forgot I wasn't Iron Man, I guess. I don't know what happened, but no one in chat realized either. I could have just bought an anti-fire potion to make this way easier, but I didn't, so I was taking fire breath damage through the shield and taking huge melee hits, just an absurd amount of damage. I got mithril armor from shops to try and help, but I was taking a lot of damage. That said, we got the clutchest overpower in human history. We hit like 2k with an overpower, which was insane for just a main hand adamant weapon. And then from there, we kept spam eating and trying to deal damage. Both of us got low health, and I will let my live comm and the reaction from the live stream take over at this point.
We did it! Holy shit! The clutch overpower saved us! We did it!
And boom! It wasn't pretty, but we did indeed do it. We finished off killing Elvarg and completed the Dragon Slayer quest. At this point, we had 44 attack, 38 strength, and 40 defense, and I figured that was probably good enough to start with Slayer, and I didn't need to do many more combat quests. But I did want to get protection prayers in case there were certain difficult tasks that it would help me for. So I decided to go ahead and do these God Statue mini-games. I think there's 4 of them across the world. They give you a little bit of construction XP and a little bit of prayer XP. They got me to, I believe, 33 or 34 prayer. And then from there, we went over to the Nexus minigame in Lumbridge. It's a pretty dead minigame. It's meant to be done for low-level characters to get their prayer up from level 1 to protection prayers. Usually no one goes there, but because I was live streaming it, we actually got a crew of like 10 or 15 people to come hang out at the Nexus, which is really cool to see. Whenever you see dead minigames active with players in any world, it's cool, but to have the people from stream who came over and helped, it got me to level 43 much quicker, and we did finish off with protection prayers. So I think that's a great place to wrap up the video today. We do have a little bit more progress, but it seems more consistent to just throw that into the next video where we go hard into Slayer. So we will be finishing off today's video with protection prayers, 44 attack, 38 strength, 40 defense, and we will go hard at Slayer to work towards all that stuff I just outlined earlier in the next episode. Make sure you leave a like on the video if you enjoyed. The last one didn't quite get to 100, but if we hit 100 likes on this video, I will upload the next video in this series as soon as we get to 100. Also, subscribe for future content. I'm going to do some sort of special stream to celebrate every 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, and we're currently at around 750, so we're getting real close to our first 1,000 milestone. Thank you guys so much for all the support. I hope you enjoyed this video. Leave your comments and feedback below, and I will see you in the next video.